a biblical perspective on life, culture and current events. This is 2020 on Vision.
We're going to be talking about this new digital age that we live in, and you may have been exploring the power of artificial intelligence, both personally at home or maybe professionally in your workplace. And there are some very big developments to talk about today. Now there is a direct influence of artificial intelligence in the realm of Christian ministry. I'm talking about Bible AI. It's a Christian artificially intelligent program. It's designed to help users explore Scripture and engage in meaningful conversations about faith, life, and, as the creator says, everything in between. Leio McLaren is the founder and CEO of Bible.ai, and after 2 years of development, he's launched Bible AI with world-first features such as advanced voice interaction, theology mode, and personalised conversations. Our absolute privilege to be able to welcome Leio. He's in the studio with me. Leio, welcome along to 2020.
Thank you, Neil. It's great to be here.
Leio, I mean, this might be irrelevant, but for listeners who are thinking, wow, a whole new technology environment for the Bible, I wonder if someone who's been working in the industry for decades has actually developed this, but I wonder if you've got a moment just to reflect on this, because as I'm sitting opposite you, a young man, and I'm going to let the cat out of the bag, 25 years old, and you've been able to develop this particular level of software and app development. Tell us about your story as it's evolved so far.
Definitely. Really for me, from a young age, I've loved technology, been really passionate about the idea of how it can be used to impact people around the world. And for me, when I was young, I was 12 years old, started developing and coding and released my first app. From there, I ran a company working with different organizations and learning more about the industry. And a few years ago, I really started to ponder and think through, okay, what does it look like to use my passion for technology with this area of ministry? And how can I really combine those two things that are my two loves? And what does it look like to really take a step forward in a bold way in that area? And started really creating these Christian apps, and Bible.ai has been the newest version and newest thing that we've been working on as a team.
You've been creating apps since you were 12 years old, and I'm not sure whether you want to reflect on what sort of app that was. Where did you start doing those apps? What was the first app you developed?
The first app I developed was a app to help children learn the phonic sounds, so learn how to read and write. So my cousin at the time was young, and she was learning, and I had this idea of, okay, how could I make a little game to help teach her these phonic sounds? So that came out, in 2013 or so, which feels like a lifetime ago now. And really since then, I've just been continuing on this journey, and it's been a wild ride.
And you've worked for some big organizations like Apple and Google. What was the connection there?
Yeah, I've been passionate about technology from when I was young. At the time after I released that app, started working for different organizations, started a company doing that in the secular space. Was really fortunate to get some great clients and great opportunities to be able to work with these people. And from there, really started to think, what does it look like to take this knowledge and understanding of the industry into the Christian area?
And then artificial intelligence really starts to get a move on. And you might have been playing with artificial intelligence for maybe a little longer than most people have been aware of it in this sense. But when did you discover that artificial intelligence, you can apply this to your own Christian walk?
Really the past few years has been a boom for this idea of artificial intelligence in general. And in 2022, I started to think through, and even as a team, there's a few of us, that we started to go, okay, what does it look like to be able to take a really bold step forward in this area of artificial intelligence? And I think in a lot of ways, it is an area that a lot of people are scared of. And what does it look like to live in this new society where artificial intelligence is such a big part of our life and even our work and society. And for us, it was going, okay, what does it look like to show the positive side of this technology? And how could it be used to really help people from a biblical and spiritual?
So, Leio, most of us now might have an app on our phone. We're able to read the Bible. In fact, you can read it in every sort of translation you can imagine. And we think that's a pretty good technology to have on our phone. What does Bible AI add to the experience of being able to access the Bible on your mobile device?
Really for us, I think we've seen this progression of, if you look back even further in the, 1440s, the printing press was invented, and Johannes Gutenberg invented the printing press to be able to allow the Bible to be able to be printed and given to each individual personally. And I think over the past, decades, we've now had phones where we can access the Bible, like you said, in all the different languages, anywhere and everywhere. And we really see this as the next progression of biblical engagement as to how can we utilize AI and what does it look like to really utilize this technology in a way that provides really personalized guidance for people. So instead of just maybe statically reading the Bible, you're then able to go onto Bible.ai and ask it questions and get responses and really have conversations about your faith.
I'm sure there are some controversial things we'll get into, and I know that there might be listeners who might like to contribute by way of, asking the right questions that'll bring out the right things that they want to hear. When we talk about the Bible and AI, and as you rightly say, people talk about AI as the next revolution, just like Gutenberg's printing press. And we're so excited that it was Gutenberg who really was mass-producing the Bible in those Middle Ages, and it did revolutionize the world. And so when we've got a revolutionary AI coming now, I feel very privileged that I'm talking to you about what you're doing to use AI to take the Bible to the next level. Take us into how that looks as AI takes the Bible into a new experience for people who are going to engage with it.
I think we really see that as experience as a tool and a spiritual companion on your journey to be able to go to again, have conversations about faith. A lot of people even utilize Bible.ai, again, not just to next to their Bible as a tool that they're asking questions about the Bible, but also just generally for life advice. Like, what does it look like to get the Christian perspective on people that have anxiety or depression or struggling in certain situations, whether that be small situations in your life or large scenarios. It's something that you can go to and get the Christian perspective. And I think in today's day and age, that Christian perspective is such a needed thing in our lives.
What about the thought that people will have? It's another app. It's another money-making venture. Someone utilizing the Bible to turn this into something that will be, you're going to make billions out of it. And look, I hope you do very well out of this. But where do you understand your own opportunity now, so far as providing an app and AI that's going to enhance the Bible experience? What would you say to someone who said, I'm just concerned this is just another commercial venture?
Yeah, definitely. It is definitely a concern with a lot of different organizations in today's day and age. For me, this really is a ministry venture. Again, I was in the secular space before this and doing well, and really decided to move into the space because I felt God's calling and it was on my life. It was not something I moved into to make money. And in a lot of ways, I think, something like Bible.ai is largely a free tool. There is a paid component if you want to access specific features, but most people will use it for free. And in a lot of ways, that is the goal for us. How do we get this in as many people's hands as possible and allow that access to this new technology?
Leio, take us into maybe, how do you illustrate for people listening to us, and they haven't got Bible.ai necessarily on their phone? Some might. Let me know if you do. But what's the scenario? You're waking up in the morning. Most people will check their mobile device, and they're looking at messages and social media and all sorts of things. What does Bible.ai add to the person who's waking up in the morning? Take us through a scenario of how this works.
Definitely. Bible.ai is such a great tool because it can be used in so many different situations. And again, whether that's you're waking up and you're doing a daily devotional and you have Bible.ai alongside you as you're reading the Bible, as you would maybe a commentary or another study Bible. And that's, one specific way to utilize it. Another way is, again, throughout your day when you're curious about a certain topic, whether that be you're having a conversation with a friend and a question comes up and they're wanting to know, okay, what does this look like from a Christian perspective? How does it fit into my daily life? And I think that is another way of utilizing it. And also, a lot of people will utilize it to just talk about certain situations and things happening in their life, whether that's, again, they're struggling with the scenario or they're wanting that biblical perspective. Again, it has such a wide range of different uses and really is a tool that you can access at any time to be able to get answers and responses from that Christian perspective.
It's only recently been launched. What sort of feedback are you getting personally or through the organisation that you've set up to be able to help run this whole thing? What sort of feedback are you getting from Christian believers who are using Bible.ai?
Yeah, I mean, for us, the feedback has been great. Before launch, and again, we spent 2 years developing this technology as a team and really talking to different ministry leaders and pastors and organizations as to how do we do this in a really safe way? How do we do this in a really knowledgeable way? And what does it look like to be able to be brought into those spaces for people? I mean, people's quiet time and their Bible study is a really sacred space for a lot of people. And we want to make sure that we are developing this technology in a really thoughtful way. And the feedback from people so far has really just been, they're happy that we're in a space that is, again, so new and innovative and showcasing how this technology can be used in a positive way. I mean, either way, AI is becoming a larger and larger part of our lives for all of us, no matter what area you work in or the society we live in is just moving towards that direction. And I think for us, it's not how do we shun this technology as Christians, but how do we really embrace it and use it as a tool to spread the gospel and allow new people to experience God's love in a completely different way than before.
When we talk about the maturity of a believer, you've got the novice level, you've got new Christian believers, and perhaps the sorts of things they'd be interested in are going to be different than that person who's been a person of faith for a long time, or someone who's gone off to some Bible college and they've got a university tertiary level qualification and they want to be able to interact at a higher level than the novice level. Is there an adjustment that Bible AI makes for the maturity level that you have?
Definitely. So the way Bible.ai works is when you download the app, you then start to go through a bit of a questionnaire at the beginning that learns a bit of information about you and then tailors the responses that it gives you from then on based on that information. And that's also, as time goes on and you continue to utilize the app, it starts to build this profile around you and really understand, okay, these are the things that you're interested in and these are the topics of conversation maybe you'd like to talk about. As you mentioned before, the theology mode in Bible.ai allows you to talk to these different theologians. We have a few in the app like C.S. Lewis or A.W. Tozer, and allows you to have conversations in the tone and unique style of these people's works and allow you to really understand, okay, what would this person think about this conversation, or how do I get the biblical understanding from C.S. Lewis' perspective from the works that he's created before.
Let's just pause and reflect on this for a few moments, because when you mention these big names in Christian ministry and from centuries gone by, even some of them, when you're interacting with C.S. Lewis, you've actually got C.S. Lewis's voice that is able to interact with you. So you say, well, tell me what C.S. Lewis would say about such and such a topic, and you've got C.S. Lewis actually interacting with you based on all of the works of C.S. Lewis. Is that the way that it works?
Yeah, so when you open Bible.ai, you have an option to talk to just the normal, original Bible.ai, or you can choose from a few theologians that we've added in there. And basically how it works is we've created specific AIs based on these people from their works and styles and unique tone of voice that allows us to be able to really kind of champion their work and showcase what it looks like to even bring these voices to a new generation. I mean, when you talk to a lot of people these days, even new Christians, they might know these names but not necessarily understand their thinkings and their ideas. And something like Bible.ai allows us to really bring this to them in a unique way, and that's really intriguing and interesting and engaging for this generation, and utilizes this really new technology.
You know, when we think of a C.S. Lewis, and we'd reflect on C.S. Lewis as one of the greatest thinkers and theologians of the 20th century. And so it's no surprise that you might choose a C.S. Lewis because he's just a wonderful thinker and communicator across so many different levels. But what about if you're coming from a different faith perspective, like, when I say faith within Christianity, but, you've got Catholics and Protestants, and you've got people who are coming from an Orthodox faith, you've got people who are off on some fringes somewhere. Are those sorts of things catered for? Because I guess the AI is searching for the information to be able to put together a response. How does it all work?
Totally. And it is a big question, and it's something that we've talked through and really worked through with a lot of different people as to, okay, how do we make an AI that is able to answer these questions for a wide variety of people? And at the moment, Bible.ai follows a traditional Protestant Christian view. In future, we'll be building that out and allowing more specific ideas to be brought in. But really for us, I think this idea of AI technology and the idea of asking these questions and getting responses, a lot of people always ask me, how do we deal with these different theological perspectives? Because even as people, we don't necessarily agree on these theological perspectives. And I think in a way, that sort of question can sometimes misunderstand the types of people that are even utilizing Bible.ai, because when you're asking these questions and getting these responses from Bible.ai, a lot of people ask questions that are very foundational Christian topics. So they're asking things that widely agreed upon topics. They're not really necessarily delving into very specific theological differences. Now, you can still ask that to Bible.ai and it will give you great answers. But the majority of people utilizing Bible.ai are asking things that are generally agreed upon among the community.
Will it be a self-learning system? Because when we think of AI, it's going to teach itself, isn't it? To be able to talk about all sorts of differences and nuances. And of course, there are cultural issues that go back. There's different cultural issues in the Old Testament to the New Testament. So it's like, and then the cultural issues throughout all of the history of Christianity. And as you say, it's primarily Protestant now. And there'll be Catholics and Orthodox and all sorts of others who might be eventually being able to access things. Eventually, you might be able to say, I'm Orthodox and I want to know the Orthodox belief about such and such, and it'll be able to do that for you.
Yeah, definitely. Again, I think we want to be really thoughtful in the way we build this, and I think part of that is recognizing the amount of time and effort that goes into creating something like this. And we want to make sure, if we're going to put something out there, that it is something that we're really proud of and can really stand true on. And we know that these other perspectives, example like Catholic, do require specific resources and a completely different pool of information to be able to learn from. And again, you can ask it, okay, give me the Catholic perspective, and Bible.ai will give it to you now. But generally, if you just ask it a general question without specifying that, it will give you the Protestant view.
A Protestant view. I do want to invite listeners to join into our conversation. I want to open our talkback line. You might have your own thoughts. You've got an opportunity today to talk to the creator of this new technology. It's called Bible.ai, and Leio is happy to take your questions and comments. You might even have a critique, and he's happy to hear a critique as well. So 1-800-316-316, if you'd like to join in our conversation. I mean, questions like, the Bible is in its original languages, Hebrew, Greek and Aramaic language. So does the AI, in fact, search original languages rather than just the theological perspectives of some authors? How does that sort of fit in there if you're actually wanting to maybe go a deeper level here, Leio?
Definitely. Bible.ai does have resources inside the data set that are Hebrew, Aramaic, and so forth. Really, I mean, the way we trained and created Bible.ai is we've sourced and built out this data set of millions of resources. So it takes in a huge, almost insurmountable to, I think, a human brain of resources that allows it to be extremely smart in so many different aspects, and including, Hebrew, Aramaic, Greek, so forth.
Does it depend on the questions you are asking? Because when we're dealing with AI, we're all told that you've got to frame the question in the right way to get the most accurate response. Do you have to do a little bit of, is there a bit of, training you can do to ask it the right questions, or does it interpret in some ways what you're trying to ask? How does that work?
It's very nuanced in its interpretation, So you can ask it, again, a really simple question or ask it a really complex question, and it will try and, start to understand, maybe the types of answers that I would like are different to the types of answers you would like. And there's different nuances and different, even academic level that maybe it will start to understand and build out as time goes along. So yes, it does tailor the responses to you personally, and that is, again, one of these points that makes this technology so different than anything else. Is my sister, who is learning about the Bible, can learn in a completely different way to someone who's 80 years old learning about the Bible. And the obviously depth and spiritual maturity of those different people allows you to really see and understand, wow, this technology is something that makes biblical engagement so unique and personal to people.
I said there might be some controversial things we can discuss here. So, there are things that affect the way we live out our lives and our faith, because there are some who are believers in biblical miracles, and those miracles have never ceased, and they happen today. In so many churches, there's miracles happening all the time. But there are some people who say, I'm a cessationist. I don't believe those things happen anymore. Or, they might have their own nuance on what they think about that. But when you're dealing with those sorts of perspectives, how does Bible AI touch on those? Miracles or no miracles?
Yeah, definitely. It's a great question. And it's something I think, again, is very unique to the type of question you ask. If you have a specific question, we can ask it now. We can see what it comes to. What would you like to ask?
Do miracles still happen today?
Okay, do miracle. I'm just typing it in.
Yep. You're typing that in. Do miracles still happen today? Because there are some people who think that miracles have ceased. Prophecy and those sorts of, words of knowledge and wisdom, those sorts of things. So, okay, we got a response there?
Yeah, here it goes. Okay, I'm just reading this from the app. Many Christians believe that God is still active in the world, performing miracles, both big and small. In the Bible, we see numerous accounts of Jesus performing miracles, such as healing the sick and raising the dead, Matthew 11:5. While they may not always be as dramatic, many people experience miracles in their lives through answered prayers, unexpected provisions, or profound moments of healing. Remember, Jesus said, "For nothing will be impossible with God," Luke 1:37. Have you experienced or heard of any miracles in your life or community? And this is something I think that also showcases the uniqueness of Bible.ai over just general AI, is the idea, firstly, it's providing scripture as it's answering to really give you a biblical base, but it also continues the conversation. So Bible.ai allows you to start to go, okay, it's asking, what is your experience with this? How do we really start to go, okay, again, bring this into your life? What does it look like in your day-to-day? And provide something that is not just a back and forth, but it's really just a conversation generally that you might have with another person.
Just a couple of minutes out from news, but let's take a quick question here. Tracy is in Esperance in Western Australia. Tracy, need to be quick, but what were your thoughts?
Just well done, Leio. I just want to really encourage you. You sound like you've got so much wisdom for your age, so I'm just so excited about this space, and just want to ask you a little bit about your growing up, like what faith, and also being so involved in technology. I've got a son, and he just loves all of that, and I find it hard to encourage him in that space, given the world. Just like, did you have trouble with your parents trying to kick you off devices and things like that?
Yeah,
you know what? We haven't got a lot of time for this answer. We might need to spend a little bit of time on this. I promise, Tracy, after the news, we're going to come back and I'm going to ask some personal questions, and we'll bring out the best in Leio, because yes, what was his parents doing, letting him on those devices all that time? So we're going to ask that. So Tracy, thank you so much for your call.
This is 2020 with Neil Johnson, helping you make sense of life, culture and current events from a biblical perspective.
Good to have you along with us. It is the Wednesday edition of 2020. If you're just joining us, joining into a fascinating conversation about Bible and artificial intelligence. Because in this new digital age, you might have been exploring the power of AI, both personally or professionally, and there are some big developments to talk about. A direct influence now of AI in the realm of Christian ministry. Bible.ai is a Christian artificially intelligent program. It's designed to help users explore scripture and engage in meaningful conversations about faith, life, and everything in between. Leio McLaren is the founder and CEO of Bible.ai, and after 2 years of development, he's launched Bible.ai with world-first features such as advanced voice interaction, theology mode, and personalised conversations. Now, you can join into our conversation on 1-800-316-316, 1-800-316-316. Leio is with me in the studio. Leio, we've also got Tracy on the line, who was with us just before the news, and it demanded a little bit more attention than we had in just that few moments leading up to the news. Tracy, you were asking Leio about his family life. Just rephrase how you were asking him that question.
Yeah, I'm just so excited and encouraged about this, Leio, just particularly within the youth space. I just had the question about your upbringing, and I know there's lots of parents that have challenges with their children on devices and getting that balance, and I'm sure you probably encountered that in your, building an app at the age of 12 would have taken a considerable amount of time. So can you just share some encouragement about, or maybe even some things that were a bit hard with between you and your parents, and how they sort of led you into this?
Tracy, what a wonderful question. And just the context for listeners who might be just joining us, Leio is just 25 years old. Leio, what were your thoughts here for Tracy?
Yeah, thank you, Tracy. Really for me, my parents have always been very supportive for me on this journey of building apps and again, being involved in technology. I think for me, even this idea of technology is really, again, my passion, my calling, and something I think I was really fortunate to be able to work out from an early age that it was what I wanted to be in. And I think being able to impact people, although it's been a journey to get to this point, I mean, it's so obvious that God has been through every step of the way with me to be able to help me to utilize my gifting with technology, and now to be able to help people through a tool like Bible.ai. So again, I think it has just been, my parents have been very supportive of me in whatever direction I wanted to take this from a young age. And even initially it was, again, in the secular space. And I think now it's turned into being within the Christian arena. And I think that is something that has been just so encouraging, I think, for me personally, to be able to do something that helps people and really has a lot of meaning and influence into people's lives. I think for me, it's extremely humbling. So having really supportive parents has definitely pushed me along this journey. Of course, I have been on this journey, making sure that I am still not on technology completely and utterly my whole life. But again, it has been a big part of it, and really is, even from a creative sense, the way I think I am able to work in that creative area of my life.
Further from you, Tracy?
Yeah, I can hear the wisdom in your voice, and I'm just so, I praise God for this, and really look forward to. When my son gets home from school, I think we might look into downloading it and having a look. I think that there's so much potential with children wanting to be on devices, but to use it for God's good and His glory. So I just pray that this will just fill such a void in lots of lonely people, and maybe potentially, I don't know if there's guided prayer and things like that are available where you can ask the app for things like that. But I just think the potential here is amazing. So well done. Thank you.
Tracy, thank you for what a great contribution that is, really asking some good questions there about the character of the developer, the creator of this, because I think we're hearing a special honour to your parents here, Leio. And interesting, as Tracy, before I let Tracy go, just to unpack a little about guided prayer, because you might find yourself in a dreadful circumstance. You can mention that circumstance to Bible AI, and will it give you a way that you can pray for the circumstance?
Yes. Well, again, thank you so much for that, Tracy. It's very encouraging. It definitely will. So you can ask it about any sort of area of your life and get a guided prayer. It also has daily devotionals, which has specific guided prayers in there for you. But again, you can ask, I'm struggling with a situation. Can you give me a guided prayer that I can speak out and really be able to help me through that situation? I think, interestingly, even you'd said before, this idea that we can have technology that's used for good. I mean, there's so many even young people these days that are addicted to these things like, TikTok or Instagram, social media, and these other apps on their phone. And I think it looks like, okay, how do we really create things for ministry and create things for the Christian world, which are even as addictive as these different areas of social media, but allow them to be really encouraged and uplifted and build, spiritual maturity that is ultimately helping them throughout their life and not hindering them.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Wonderful to hear from you, Tracy, in Esperance in WA, and our talkback line open on 1800 316 316. You might like to interact with our special guest today, Leio, and he's ready to take whatever question you can throw at him. Just before we get into anything more controversial there, the addictive nature of screens for young people. Let's just take the word addiction out of that and change that and just put the word obsess in there. In some ways, we do want young people to be obsessed with being a follower of Jesus, to be a person of faith, to have something that is not obsessed with the world, but obsessed with Christ. If we use the word addiction, we automatically think of something that is evil, but this is you've created now, Leio, creates an opportunity to get away from the addiction to the things of the world and to be obsessed with something from God. Is that a fair way of talking about what you hope people will do?
Definitely. And I think it is, an epidemic in today's society where you have so many young people which are, obsessed with their phones. And I think for me, something I'm just generally really passionate about is, okay, I don't think as a society we can shun technology because in reality it's in every facet of our lives. But it's how do we really utilize technology in a positive way? How do we utilize it in a way that's uplifting and good for me and, again, helps me through my life and doesn't give me anxiety or depression or stress, but is able to be used to encourage me and uplift me and bring me closer to God in a spiritual sense. And I think that does require utilizing new technology like AI, where it's something that's really engaging and super interesting and unique. And that is what is required to be able to get the Bible and really the excitement around learning about the Bible in today's generation.
Okay, 1800 316 316 if you'd like to join in our conversation. And if you have the Vision app on your phone, simply open the Vision stream there and there'll be two little buttons you could press. One of those would be to call in, And that'll give you the 1800 316 316 number. There's another little button there. It says text. Well, thank you to Nate who sent through a text. He says, is there an ethical issue in this AI technology being used to put sermons and teaching together for congregations? Blessings from Nate. What about the usefulness or the threat that there might be for the use in Christian ministry of Bible AI?
Yeah, it's a great question, Nate. Bible.ai isn't specifically built to do sermon prep or write sermons for pastors. It's really for congregation members and just general Christians to be able to utilize to learn more about their faith. So we're not targeting that demographic. If you talk about the idea of AI in general being used to help write sermons, I think it's very contentious at this point in time. I think AI and its use within ministry has a lot of benefits, and it can be used in ways to help aid pastors to write sermons, but in no way do I feel it should be used to replace that process or replace the process of being thoughtful and in prayer with God around what the sermon should be and the content of that sermon. So I think it can be very interesting to be utilized in ways to learn about topics and maybe understand topics, so then you can bring better teaching to people in your congregation, but not necessarily as a replacement for that process.
As you say, you can just use any general AI program. And as we were having a little laugh during the news, you can be sitting in church and you can have an AI generating program open on your device, sitting in church, and you can generate a sermon that might actually be better than the sermon that the pastor is preaching from where you are in the pew. Now, there's a problem there because there's a dimension that's missing. Now, I'll get your thoughts here on the dimension, because there is a Holy Spirit dimension that AI can never completely be artificial about. So how do you talk about, this, godly, divine dimension versus just an AI?
Totally. People will say to me, the big question, is AI going to replace church, or does AI replace church? And the simple answer is just no. There's many other dimensions of even being a part of a church than just teaching. And I think that's something to recognize. Going to a church, I receive the ability to serve others. I am able to be in worship and communal fellowship and all of these other areas that I don't get from just listening to a sermon or generating a sermon, let's say. In a way, Bible.ai is really meant to be used as a tool that is a companion throughout your life and throughout your biblical study, just like you might use a commentary book or another tool to be able to help with that study. And again, I completely agree. There is no way that, at least with the work that we're doing and with www.bible.ai, that we are trying to replace that idea of the Holy Spirit or church. Really, it's meant to be utilized as something that is able to aid you in your learning and exegesis throughout the week of the Bible, towards pushing you towards going to church.
We're taking calls 1-800 316 316. Let's take another call. Bobby is on the line. Hello, Bobby. Welcome.
G'day, mate. Yeah, I was listening to what you guys have been talking about with AI relating to the Bible. I'm just wondering, with AI, because I was listening in and out, I may already have the answer, or the answer may already have been said before I rung up without me hearing it. Does it have all the different versions of the Bible on it?
Okay, all the different versions. When we talk about, Bible AI, some people love the NIV. Others think the KJV is the only Bible translation you ought to read. What are your thoughts about how the Bible AI interacts with that?
Yeah, great question, Bobby. Bible.ai does have multiple Bible translations in it, so you can access, all the main ones, NLT, NIV, KJV, and KJV, ESV, etc. Again, a lot of people do use Bible.ai as a great tool to even compare the differences. Okay, what does this Bible verse look like in ESV compared to NLT, and maybe what is the even differences between that and the interpretations between that. Bible.ai is a great tool to be able to utilize in that even study, to be able to go, okay, like, how do I understand? What do I interpret in the right ways, and what does it look like to, again, compare those Bible translations?
Wonderful stuff. Bobby, anything more to add?
Yeah, two more questions. One is, can you slow down the audio of it so that you can take in more? And can you have the visual of the words of what's being read from the different versions?
Yeah, so you can access Bible.ai, ask it any different question via text, which allows you to, again, read out your own pace, or via voice. So you could ask it questions just like you might ask a Siri or something. So it allows you to be able to access it via the text and voice, and then it will give you a transcription of that after the fact. So yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so my question was, I don't know whether I've said it right or not, probably not. For a person that wants to actually have the voice slow down so you take it in properly rather than it, you know what I mean, don't you? You can either have it going fast or medium or slow.
Are you talking about example like an audio Bible, like it's speaking out the Bible to you? Yeah, so Bible.ai isn't, I guess, a typical Bible reader that has an audio Bible. When we say voice in Bible.ai, it's really like having a conversation. So you ask it questions. So I could say, what does this verse mean? Or I'm struggling with this situation. And then it will reply to you via voice to answer that question. So an audio Bible reader isn't in the app at the moment, but is something we're looking into the future.
Great stuff. Bobby, thank you so much for your call. Our talkback line open on 1800 316 316. Another text from Jody, who says, Leio, this is so inspiring. Thank you for using your gifts to create this. I just downloaded the app and it is phenomenal. I see that you can use voice as well as on this, not only text it. Thank you again. Now, this is interesting because there is something that oftentimes is confronting to us when we hear it, but literacy levels in Australia are actually not that fabulous. Things are actually quite low literacy-wise. Is this going to help for people who are not necessarily great texters, great writers, great spellers? They're going to be able to just use their voice and, just like, saying hi to Alexa or something like that. This is the way you interact with Bible.ai.
Yeah, that's correct. So Bible.ai is really unique in the fact that it does allow you to text it to get answers and responses, or you can utilize your voice to ask it for answers. So something I think was really interesting is, again, like you said, it really does provide this new dimension for people to be able to engage with the Bible and even access that where they can do it completely hands-free. So you have people even utilizing it in the car or while they're, cooking or doing a different activity, but also, again, allowing people with low literacy levels that struggle to type or read for long periods of time, and even people that have accessibility issues in those areas where they can utilize it, again, hands-free, they can access it without having to type, does allow people with even like reading issues to be able to access the Bible that previously would be a really struggled situation for them.
Let me come back to another one of these controversial questions, and not a lot of time remaining here. But let me ask you this, Leio. Does Bible.ai have a special interpretation at all around creation? Because it's interesting, isn't it, that there are some divergent opinions on creation, and there are some who will say that, the biblical creation, 6 days, a short time since then, somewhere around 6,000 years. There are others who'll say, oh, it's a long thing and we just syncretize a evolutionary theory and we try and make the Bible fit evolutionary so-called science. And then there's others who are sort of somewhere in the middle. How do you deal with that? How does Bible AI deal with a short or long-term creation?
Totally. So, again, Bible.ai has really been built with a huge data set that we've created and collated of millions of resources that are biblical. So we're talking things like sermons, books, essays, theological resources, ancient documents, etc. And that allows it to really have nuanced ideas and responses and have understanding of kind of the different angles that you could come at these really hard questions from. So something like that is, again, maybe a contentious topic. Taking my personal view out of it, a lot of people have different understandings and things that they would say are right or wrong, whether that's that question or 1,000 other questions we could come up with. I think it's really interesting because, again, even as humans and Christians, we don't necessarily agree on the same topic. So Bible.ai does try and provide different perspectives to a question when it is something that is contentious or is widely debated. So we'll say things like, this is a widely debated topic. Some people believe this, other people believe this. Here's the evidence, and allows you to really come up with that understanding and also your own belief. And I think that's what's really important. Bible.ai is not here to convince you of something. It's really here to say, okay, here's the evidence, here's the background, and what do you think? What information do you want to learn about this topic? How can I provide you with the info you need to be able to come up with that own belief yourself? And that's what really allows a person to be able to take something in at a heart level, and something that is really turns into their belief, opposed to just something that they're mindlessly hearing.
So it is a companion, and it'll offer you options when it gets to those really controversial questions. Just very quickly, some text come through. Thanks, blokes. Very interesting program. Could we hear an example of this app on the air now, please? Brett in Condoblin. I don't think we're going to have time to hear any examples. We might have to set up something like that so that you can actually hear that. We might have to plan a day like this, and we'll get our diaries out later, Leio. Yeah. Another question was about the Bible AI. Looks like it's only for Apple. How do we use it on Android?
Totally. So at the moment, yes, it is available for iOS only. It did just come out a few weeks ago, so it's a very new technology. We are working on the Android version, so stay tuned for that soon.
Okay, and we'll squeeze in one more call. Donovan is in Pingelly in WA. Hey, Donovan, need to be quick. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, just the controversial thought that I would like to kind of check Bible AI on is that some believers believe in the rapture and others don't, and wanting to know what's the reason for some believing and some don't believing in the rapture.
Okay, yep, the rapture being the thought that there'll be a catching away of Christian believers in the end of times. What does Bible AI say about that, Leia?
Definitely. And look, I encourage you, download the app and ask it the question. I think the great thing about this technology is, again, you can do it yourself. It's available, www.bible.ai, allows you to go on, ask that question, have that conversation, ask as many questions as you'd like and really put it through its paces. Again, ask it some hard questions, come back to us with your feedback as we continue to develop this. With, again, something like the rapture, it will provide a nuanced response, provide you with those different understandings, and allow you to kind of be able to take that information in and come up with your own belief on that situation.
And on these controversial topics, and Donovan's still on the line with us, it's test it and see, put it through its paces, stretch it as far as you can. You can't break it. Just put it through its paces. And at the end of the day, if you think that somehow or other leading you astray, you're probably not going to use it. But but you're probably going to be given options that you might not have even considered when it comes to the way you get your thoughts around those issues. That's a real value there, because sometimes we're in a narrow way of thinking, and something like this might just extend our way of thinking to different positions. Further from you, Leio, just the fact that that's what enlarges us sometimes.
Definitely. I completely agree. I think it allows you to be able to, again, build those beliefs for yourself and be able to go, okay, there's an understanding maybe I wouldn't have thought of, or now I know how to be able to express that to my friend who's a new believer and asking me that question. And I think that is something that is really great about the app, is the fact that it's infinite in the types of questions you can ask, or the questions you can ask is just really never ending. So it allows you to go on, ask controversial questions, phrase it in whatever way you would like, and get that really personalized response.
And thank you so much, Donovan in WA. Time has run out. For listeners, we've been saying Bible.ai. That's how you find it. Simply do a search for Bible.ai. Easy to download if you've got an Apple device right now. You've got to wait a little longer if you've got an Android device. So that might, this is going to double the size of capacity as soon as you're available on Android. But how long do you think, Leio, before Android might be available for listeners?
Hopefully very soon. I can't give an exact timeline yet, but again, we're working very hard on the back end to allow it to be as accessible as possible to people. And again, we've had such great feedback so far, and just a huge amount of people all around the world utilizing it. It's only been out for a few weeks, so again, extremely new technology. Even with the voice, it really is a first of its kind app. So yeah, please try it out and continue to give us feedback and be on this journey with us as we really take a step forward in this idea of utilizing AI in the Bible and really what it looks like to be innovators within the Christian space.
And to connect with Leio, you'll be able to just simply go onto the website, Bible.ai, and I'm going to assume there's some way that listeners can send their feedback to you, connect with you even in a personal way, Leio, and no doubt I'm thinking that this might even be one of those conversations. It might even be an historic conversation today, so it's been an absolute privilege to be able to have you in the studio with us and talking about a new level of engagement with the Bible. And Bible.ai is what we're talking about. So to find that, simply do a search online for Bible.ai. You'll find out all about it. If you're an Android person, you might have to wait a little longer. But if you're an Apple person, you can take advantage of using this app and getting to know it, and certainly give your feedback to Leio. Leio McLaren has been our guest, the founder and CEO of Bible.ai. Leio, thank you so much for sharing your time with us today on 2020.
Thank you so much, Neil. It's been my pleasure.
Thanks for taking time to listen to this audio on demand from Vision Christian Media. To find out more about us, go to vision.org.au.